I'm pleased to welcome Chris Berry on SmallCapPower. Chris, thank you so much for joining us for the interview.
Thank you for having me.
So please tell us about what's been going on for the first day of the conference.
Well, obviously the first day of the conference is focused on the battery, specifically the advanced technology around the batteries. We spent a lot of time looking at growth in the lithium-ion space. Obviously, the mining sector has really benefited from a lot of this growth, but we took a look at what the cathode makers are doing and also the OEMs. So really what we wanted to do today, the goal was to provide a holistic sort of view of the lithium supply chain and where the growth is going to come from.
Gotcha. And what are some of the most interesting topics or questions that you've gotten today?
Well, I think the real question that's on everybody's mind is how technology is going to affect supply and demand. And you can look at it a couple of different ways. I'm specifically thinking about lithium extraction technology, and there's a cost curve and supply and demand around lithium and around some of these other metals that we talked about today, like cobalt. And, we're just unsure. There was a lot of uncertainty about exactly how lithium extraction technology is going to affect that supply and demand dynamic going forward. So, a lot of questions were raised, a lot of dialogue was put forth, but again, at the end of the day, it's a real question mark.
So why is it important, especially now, to talk about the supply and the price of key battery metals?
Well, that's the supply and the price are really the murkier aspects of this whole scenario. I think we all, anybody that I've spoken with is really in agreement with respect to the demand story. We know it's going to come from vehicle electrification. We know it's going to come from energy storage. The question is, where will the supply come from? Which miners, the existing miners in lithium and in cobalt, they're expanding capacity. The cathode makers are expanding capacity. And of course, the OEMs, the automotive manufacturers, are retooling their supply chains to, position for this boom in demand that we're seeing right now. And so the question is, who amongst those companies are going to be the winners? Now, from the mining perspective, focusing on high prices, whether or not we're talking about lithium and cobalt, is a little misplaced. What you really want to focus on are the lowest cost producers, because that's how you win and compete in that market.
So for a market like, for example, lithium, there's big players and there's juniors who are trying to enter. There's a lot of unsureness from investors of them doing well.
Yep.
So how do you settle that kind of sentiment?
Well, again, I think you go back to basics. There are maybe 4 or 5 lithium producers globally, so it's an oligopoly, and you've got at least 50 to 60 juniors that are trying to enter that market. Most of them will fail for various reasons. At the end of the day, you've got to have the best asset and the best management that can sort of position the asset accordingly and get an offtake in place and then integrate into existing supply chains. So it's pretty straightforward.
All right, thank you so much, Chris, for your time.
Thank you.
For more Minds and Money videos, make sure to visit smallcappower.com.